Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, Namaskar. Ishavasya Upanishad. Today we'll be dealing with the 8th sloka. Let me begin right away. Let us hear what the sloka, how the sloka sounds like it. Here we go.
Saparyagat chukramakayam avranam asnaviram shuddham apapavidham kavir manishi paribhu swayambhur yatha tathyatorthan vyadadhat chashvatibhyah samabhyah.
Now looking at the first part of this sloka, Saparigat Shukram Akayam Avananam Asnaviram Shuddham Apapa Vidvam. Let's just understand every word and then we'll talk about it. So the first word, Sa, means he, one who. Parigat, acquires, gets, receives. Shukram, extremely brilliant, most powerful, most condensed. Akayam, kaya means body. Kayam, one who possesses the body, and means not. So akayam, bodiless. So the supreme reality or Isha, let's just understand, is bodiless. Avarnam, varna, that means with which you can distinguish. So, and here you can take it as a fault or differences. So, means not. So it is the faultless. It does not have any variation. Asnaviram, detached, separated, totally separate, meaning there's nothing like it. Suddham, and we'll spend enough time on the material, Suddham, pure. Apapa Vidvam, Apapa Vidvam, ultimate divine. Papa, seen, differentiable, something not right or lacking. Is not. So ultimate divine. And let me also take it to the, what does this part alone represents, meaning just the first line. And this is the translation of the first line. This realized soul, the Sir, it is one who he acquires state of being extremely brilliant, bodiless, faultless, detached, and pure divinity. Now, a lot of time, people want to know that when a person is realized, how would you call somebody to be realized? And at the later stage, and quite often, previously discussing, we have heard, we have known that the Atma, the individual being, one who is trying to be on the path of spirituality, seeker, sadhaka, as one reaches to the purest state, then there is no difference between Atma and Param Atma. Param means the supreme. So here he giving us, the Rishi is giving us, or Isha is guiding us. What he is guiding us? He does realize soul, thus meaning previous part has been described in the previous sloka as to what do you mean by realization. Quite often our limited understanding takes us that the realization meaning he must be knowing everything, or he must be death free, or he must be enjoying some freedom and whatnot. Let me also just take you through the second half of it. The word is so beautiful. Kavihi Manishi Paribuhu Swayambhuhu Yathat Arthan Vyadadhat Saraswatibhyam Samabhyaha. Now, what does that mean? Let's understand word by word. Kavihi, the seers. Now, seers meaning some of us, we may wonder, we have eyes too. Are we not seers? But here is the seer, the power that empowers all your sense organs. Okay? Atma Kavi, Manishi. Manishi, thinker, knower, meditator. Paribhu, all pervading or omnipresent. Swayambhu, understand the word bhu means to be. Swayambhu, self-being. In other words, there is nothing that creates Isha. Isha is self-existing. And there are a few other words that we will be looking into it. Yatya, that most appropriate. And there's some of the words that describes it. Arthan, artha, meaning, finance, object, something Other than that, Vedatat creates, it manifests, Saswati, lasting forever. This word is also very important and one has to know, or you can say eternal, or even as soon as we say lasting forever, we still have the concept of time. And if I can describe, it is where the time world does not belong. It is beyond time, beyond space. Samabhya, existing. Asati. Okay. So you could
But
see
it's blurry, so okay.
very what? Okay.
We
But
saw
now,
the first one and now
all right. The previous, my talk would not have meant something. But anyhow, those of you who do not know Sanskrit or Hindi, here is the letters or the words in green color, and the light blue color is the Sanskrit word, and the orange color is the translation. This are just
it went back to the first slide.
anyhow, I will repeat what I said. So the first word, or you can even say letter, one word, sa, means he, one who was meditator, one who is sadhaka, the one who is aspirant. Parigat acquires. What does he acquire? Sukram, extremely brilliant. Now, brilliant do not indicate that it will be like 1,000 watts light. No, brilliant. He knows commonly people do not even understand. And as will be done with this entire sloka, you will know what we really mean by the word shukram. Okay, akayam, kaya means body, and kayam, the one who has the body, and means not, akayam, bodiless. So don't be scared that once you start meditating and you reach to the self-realized state, you will be bodiless. You may well have the body, but you will feel that you don't have body. Avarnam, there is faultless. Varna, distinguishable differences. So the faultless, asnaviram, detached from everything. Suddham, pure. Apapavidvam, ultimate divine, meaning nothing more than that. So now let me take you to, or let me get out from here. Understanding one word at a time, and that will describe to us as to what is that self-realized state. A lot of time, because of our poor understanding, we think that the one who speaks and gives good lecture on Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and others, they are realized. They are equally the seekers or the sadhaka or the one who is on the spiritual path. But at the same time, you will also not know who is realized and who is not, because who are we to judge? In other words, Let's take an example of a person who speaks in Japanese language. Now, and none of us, we know the Japanese. How would he know what he's talking about? He may be extremely brilliant person. I'm just talking in language-wise only. But here, when you say Sukram, the brilliant understanding, he could experience divinity, Isha, everywhere. While us, we may intelligently think that Isha is omnipresent, Akayam. But do we really experience, do we even see divinity in a piece of metal, in a piece of wood? And forget even that, how many of us we even could see or realize divinity or Isha in plants, animals, insects. Animal we see because it has the movement. And that too sometimes not. But the plant, now these plants are visible and sometimes they have movement, sometimes they produce fruit. So some of us could sense it. But do you even ever experience the pain that a plant undergoes? Do you see how the plant flourishes? Do you see how the plant grows and produces other plant? And these are still understandable, but let me take you to one of the most prevailing example of coronavirus. That too is Isha. That too is Akayam. That itself is not Akaya. But in that, the supreme that resides is Akayam, Avarnam. We consider it to be with a fault because it is so-called killing so many human beings. But understanding and going beyond as to what does the word Akayam mean. The other word that we came across is Suddham, Suddha, pure. That word needs to be understood so much. And that is, if you take gold, 24 karat or 100% pure, we call it it's pure gold. But if we put next to it another metal, then the other metal, if mixed even 1% with it, we can call that the gold is not pure. Because gold has 1% of, say, silver or copper. But can you also say that the 1% copper is also impure? And that may be understandable, but Isha is such that there is nothing but that. Meaning right now we were giving the example of copper, silver, gold, iron, different metals. But they are Kayam, meaning they have distinguishable characteristic of the metal. Everything is not gold. Everything is not copper. Everything is not iron. But in all of those, what is commonality? What is common in all the matter? So akayam, understand that word is so important. And that that is not easily understandable, the word akayam. A lot of us, we may consider that once we reach to a state of realization, will become bodiless. No, your internal state will be such that in front of you, if a child is sitting and an elderly person is sitting, you do not see the difference. All what you see is the manifestation. But that may also be understood that an elderly person and young person. But beside that person, if a mosquito is sitting, because of the body, because of the shape, you will know that one is mosquito and the other one is human being. But akayam, something beyond the body. And what do you mean by beyond the body? What is it with which a mosquito is mosquito? And what is it with which a human being is human being? But at this part, we can also understand. But if I give you one more example, you may think, what the heck he is talking about. In front of me, right now, I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at the TV. And when that thing is there, how would you see the difference between the TV camera or TV or the computer and the person who is meditating? Because we know that the computer or the camera is a dead element. But for Ishavasya, there is nothing dead and there is nothing alive. Just there is. Or even I cannot use the word is, because moment I use the word is, that means he might not have been in past, or he was not, or maybe he was, or he will be, or maybe he will not be. So even the verb, as soon as the verb comes into picture, then we know it's no more Sanatana. Sanatana means beyond the time. Please bear with me so far as the 8th sloka is concerned. And if it does not get covered in this session, we'll study more and more, maybe the next time or the next time. We are not in a rush to finish up this, but understand, and just to give some concept, some clarity. And this is what he meant by Shukram. Shukram, most brilliant, most powerful, most potent. So you reach to that realization at which you do not see the difference between yourself or the other people sitting with you or around you, or a dog may be sitting around, or an ant walking, or coronavirus, or TV, or camera, or computer. So to say. Now, often repeated question. and that is, there is nothing like God. There is not a thing which you can call it God. So one can assume that we are atheists, we are non-believer of God. And most people will understand us to be non-believer of God. But we just now mentioned Suddham, Akayam, meaning one does not, that one having realized there is no body or beyond body, means once it is beyond body, you cannot recognize computer as computer. You cannot recognize yourself as yourself. You cannot recognize coronavirus to be coronavirus. But because of that Shukram, everything is the way it is. Meaning, without Isha, neither computer can exist, nor the camera can exist, nor we can exist, nor coronavirus can exist. Not even the tiniest green ground covering, you may call it, that does not exist, nor does the banyan tree, humongous, that cannot exist, or the redwood in redwood forest does not exist. It's not a matter of smallest water mist particle, but even the ocean doesn't exist. So here, there is no size limitation that can make the difference. So, understanding this world, in moment you think, now understand this point, I'm bringing you the definition of the word Suddham. When you are sitting in front of a computer, you know that you are you and computer is computer. That is Varnam, that is the fault, that's the distinction. But any time when you realize the consciousness aspect, that intelligence, that Siddhanta, that intelligence and Shakti, Prana, that exists, as it exists in you, so it exists in the computer. We cannot see, we cannot understand, we cannot experience. That's why we are saying it is computer and you are you. Coronavirus is coronavirus and you are you. A dog is dog and definitely not cat. But the time when we will experience what is called Atma, the consciousness, the spirit, in that case, there is no spirit or the consciousness of a dog, and there is no consciousness of a human being or corona. So what it is indivisible. Indivisible means you cannot say it is my Atma and your Atma. It is Atma all pervading. Ishavasya idam sarvam. Remember these 4 words, and we understand that we understand. But keep on reminding yourself. If something is not functioning right, do not be mad. Even now, sometimes those who are ecology oriented They say that save water, but those who are true sadhaka cannot afford to waste water. Why? Because there's no difference between water and yourself. And if there is no difference between water and yourself, air and yourself, mountain and yourself, how would you waste it? And in that case, still further going through, if you realize and you someday it so happened that you could not go to the temple, in that case, would you feel bad? Would you feel guilty? We feel guilty and we feel bad because we know what? God lives in the temple and God does not live in me. Otherwise, you won't feel bad. Omnipresent, we talk so often, but do we really mean it? So in other words, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, whatever you play with, I'm using the word play, but whatever you deal with, everything is God. I cannot even say thing. As soon as I say the word thing, means it has kayam. Kayam means kaya, body. And once you have a body, that means limitation. How big kaya or the body may be, but still it is the limitation. Akayam. So when one reaches to a state of self-realization, at that time, at that stage, I will not even use the word at that time. At that stage, he is limitless. And what do you mean by limitless? Has a scientist ever reached to recognition of the size of sky? And this is what Akash literally means, limitlessness. We use the word infinite so easily. And those of us who happen to be a science student or mathematics student or engineer, we immediately can say, oh, infinity, I know infinity meaning what? Any number divided by zero. No. It is the formula, but what is infinity? Something which is not finite. Something that you can get hold of. And it may be trillion and quadrillion, whatever zeros you can put. And I was told somewhere it's Googleian, that meaning 99 decimal. Oh my God, I cannot even think of it. But still understand that number is reachable, 99 digit. So it is still finite. You cannot say it's infinite. Understanding this beauty. And in order to reach to Akayam state, Avaranam, indistinguishable, every word is so powerful, dear friend. Understand, recognize, appreciate those words. So that can give us some intellectually realization of those worlds. And those worlds also are worlds because worlds have limitations. So, when you reach to that state of self-realization, that is the time, that is the stage person accepts everything. And when you accept everything, that means what? There is no distinction between anything. And once when there is no distinction between anything, to them, gold and silver is the same. Gold and iron is the same. Gold and a piece of rock is the same. Because what? The shape to be maintained, there is life element. And that life element and the consciousness that allows your heart to beat, there is no difference. This was the reason of those kavi. Kavi, don't translate as a poet. Kavi, mani. Kavi, those poets, those seers, which could not distinguish between a tiny insect and dinosaur, or tiny insect and elephant. If you haven't seen at least dinosaur, don't worry. We will be studying those words. And sometimes you will put your hands on your head and you say, my God, I cannot understand. I cannot reach there. And still you want to know what that is. Because this element, if I may still call it an element, or just let's use the word divinity. Divinity is indescribable. And it's not only indescribable, but there's a beautiful Sanskrit word which is called ageya, unknowable. You cannot know it. Then some of you may ask me, then why are we wasting time? No, we are not wasting time. This is the knowledge with which we are learning what cannot be learned. This is the stuff by learning. We may not know what is infinite, but we know what is finite. Howsoever large may that be, but it is finite. Here we are looking at infinite. We may get some feel because we have been told that the plant has life, insect has life, bacteria has life. But immediately our mind said, those are bacteria. But you are you. You are a special human being. But when you reach to the state of Suddham, purity, meaning there is nothing but you, and still everything is you. So this sentence, which we are studying today, please contemplate on it and be ready to discuss or challenge the statement, what I'm just now telling you, which we have also spoken a couple times. There is nothing like God. And at the same time, let me complete the other half of it. There is nothing like God, but there is nothing but God. Confusion? Okay. As soon as you say there is something, thing means what? Kayam, shape. But Ishavasya Upanishad says akayam. And as soon as you say that I have, this is the mouse of a computer, and this is my pen. So we know that the pen is pen and mouse is mouse. So, Varnam, there is a distinguishable point between mouse and this. Why? Because each one has its shape. And as soon as the shape comes, limitations come. So how could it be omnipresent? How could it be present everywhere? That does not mean that please do not own a mouse or a pen. Use it. They are all objects, and all objects are usable, but with an awareness that whether you take sensitive or insensitive, that is, living or dead, all are living and all has Isha, the divinity, supreme divinity, ultimate divinity in everything. Akayam Avaranam. Suddham. Suddham word, as I was talking about the word purity. Because we may say that the mouse is made up of plastic material, or the pen was made up of metal. Different metal. But then this is where the word varnam comes into picture. Distinguishable, distinction. So how could it be everywhere? And that is adraksha, invisible. And still everything is because everything exists. Akayam, avarnam. Now that, if I may use the word element, Isha, Atma, consciousness, spirit, whatever word you use, as soon as that part is gone, your eyes could not see it. So that's why the Rishi of Ishavasya, whosoever may it be, because we never hear their name, they never say that it is my statement. Any of the Upanishads you will find, the Guru will always say, I have heard. They have heard somebody else telling, because moment they say it is mine, if it is that of the poet, that means it's not mine. That means it's not yours. That means it's not ours. And as soon as you say mine, yours, and ours, that means fall. That means varnam. That means distinction. Varnam. Those words are so simple. But when we start applying in day-to-day life, So how shall we apply to the sadhaka, being sadhaka, sadhak, one who is seeking, the seekers, every day, whenever you sit for so-called mala, or sit for taking God's name, or chanting bhajans and anything, just close your eyes and see. What does this eighth sloka means by the word kavi? Your eyes are closed, but you could still see and feel the word. And even when the eyes are open, eyes are just the instrument like a camera. But if I breathe my last, I have the eyes. But do you think my eyes can see it? Because I am dead. So who is the true seers? And what is to be seen? What is to be seen is that oneness, that supreme divinity, Swayambhu, self-existing, Paribhu, all existing everywhere. And these need to be reminded. And even if you think that we cannot differentiate between a mouse and a pen, because we have been brainwashed by so many years. We have been brainwashed by so many births. It is hard to understand. But at least, if nothing else, we can say Namaste. When we say Namaste, that means what? Aham namami te stita brahma tattvam. I am bowing down to the divine element which lies in you as well as in me. I am bowing down to it. Do not think that you being younger than me, you should bow down and not me. In that case, we haven't really understood the word Namaste. In that case, we haven't understood the word Te Stita. Te in you, Stita, established. We don't understand what is that Isha, which is all pervading. What is that Akayam, that it does not have any shape, Kaya. Avaranam, what is it that is indistinguishable? Or if I use the word indistinguishability, there's nothing that you can describe. And when you are in a deeper state of silence, and when I say deeper state of silence, that means you see the seer, meaning it is that with which you see. It is that with which you hear. It is that with which you feel. It is that with which you taste. So sometimes I will honestly and earnestly request, spend some time in silence and start looking for the the word Kavi, the real seer. And then you see Manihi, Manishi. What is that Manisha? The thinker, the meditator. And you will immediately sometimes come up with the answer that it's my mind that is thinking. What is your mind? What is your brain? And if your mind is thinking, yes, it is thinking what? Something which is not there. So try to understand the limitations and try to go beyond the limitations. Think. Just sometimes sit in your patio, look at the sky, and keep on staring. Sky will reveal something to you because that is infinite. I'm not saying do not worship God. Worship whatever you do. If you're worshiping, say Gayatri, Shiva, Hanuman, Ganesh, they're all our creation. Because we have been told that Ganesh has a trunk, because we have been told that Hanuman has a tail, because we were told that Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom, is sitting on a swan or on a lotus, which carries the white clothes. Every one of them is nothing but a symbol to guide us. That as soon as you say the goddess of wisdom, that means wisdom is what? You do not see the differences. You see the unity. And if you're wearing a white dress and everything is white, you cannot see the difference. That's why Goddess Saraswati has been given white clothes. Goddess Saraswati is made to sit on swan. Why? Swan is considered to be that bird that can separate milk from water. What does that mean, separation of milk and water? It means take the essence out of it. And essence of what? Anything which is disturbing you in learning, kavihi, meaning the true seals, that you leave it as a water. And whatever with which you gather, you experience the divinity, that is the milk. So that is called Viveka Buddhi. And Swan is the one that carries. Understanding every element of it. And then it has been given a shape of a woman because we know that woman, or the femininity, is the source of creation. Is Hiranyagarbha. That is the womb that creates it, that gives rise to. And what is here to be given rise to? Kavihi Manish, Kavi the seer. You come to know what is, who is the seer? Are your eyes the seer? Your mind the seer? Your brain the seer? When you understand and reach to that awareness, and that awareness is not, don't ask Google that question. Only when you will reach to deeper state of silence, that is when you will experience which is a gay, unknowable. And even if you do not realize it, do not understand it, don't worry. It's the world is Vishmay. Even your ignorance will be pleasant when you will start contemplating on it. In plain word, you start meditating on it. When you reach to such a profound state of silence, in that some revelation will take place. And even if you realize that this is all ignorance, I do not understand anything, but that ignorance will also be pleasant. And that is the grace of divinity. Dear friends, time limitations exist, and we haven't even touched more than 3-4 words like Kavihi, Manisi, Akaram, or Varnam, Shuddham. Well, study more, hang around, be patient, and contemplate on those words. Let us observe a few minutes of silence. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.